All right, everyone, doing a mic check. Let me know if you can hear me okay. This is STARJUMP Grim coming to you from Ohio. Let me know if my mic sounds good, sounds loud enough, you can hear me clearly. All right, looks good. Okay, everyone, give me 5 seconds here. We're going to switch over to the cam and we'll get talking about the Drake Ironclad. All right. Hello, everybody. Oops, my alerts aren't on. That's not good. We just got a follow. That's great. The Javelin is now flying overhead. Let me get my chats up here. I'm juggling a few windows. Hope everybody is well. Did a follow just come in? Mirko, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. If I missed anyone on the follow list there, I apologize. VMXEO, I see you're in chat. Hello, good buddy. Hope you are well. Thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. You're going to see me looking off into different directions here. I've got 3 monitors, multiple stuff up on the monitor, so I'm sort of orchestrating here. So I hope you can bear with me. Before we get too deep into things, though, I wanted to remind everybody. Strato, hey, Strato breaks in chat. I got Art in chat. Bingo. We were all at Equinox last Saturday. It was an awesome event. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But real quick, before we get into that, if you have not been following my channel, I am doing a Polaris giveaway. You can see that pop up on your screen right now. There's 5 ways to enter. All you got to do is scan that QR code. Just entering in your details will give you 1 ticket, and there are 4 additional tickets there as well. I'm trying to get others added. I'm running into some very weird issues with a sweep widget. It's been a whole thing. I will never use them again for this, but regardless, go there, enter to win the Polaris giveaway. You can see the QR code right there. There we go. I'll be giving that away on June 30th. That's a Sunday, okay? Very big day. We'll be giving away a mighty, mighty Polaris Corvette. It's going to be huge. That's going to be the premier ship this year. The big IAE release or CitizenCon release, whenever they said it was coming. I think they said IAE. Am I correct? Anyways, that's going to be the big one. Huge ship, about 166 meters long. Artemis says, "Can we melt the Polaris if we win?" You can. You can. I don't think you get. Actually, I don't know. Can you melt it? I think you can. Yeah. Probably. You could do whatever you want with it, though. Ultimately, hello to everybody in chat again. See a lot of names there. Thank you, everyone who has followed, who is following the channel. Don't forget that Polaris giveaway. Last week I was at. Actually, let me see if I have a picture of it. Art or Bingo, can you send me a picture or 2 of our booth from Equinox? Do any of you guys have that up and ready? That'd be awesome. I could show it on the stream. Either way, did Equinox event here in Columbus, Ohio. It was on June 1st. Really awesome event. Huge, big Star Citizen fan-made convention, really fantastic. STARJUMP had a booth there. It was the first time STARJUMP was represented in any sort of way at one of these things. Myself and Ender did a table 2 years ago at Equinox, but it was really just like we just had a few things on the table, not too big of a deal. This year, though, we did a full-on booth, massive backdrop, all kinds of cool giveaways. Oh, another follow. Drazen, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. Salute to you. I hope you are well, buddy. Damien says, I can't seem to get a point for following you on Twitch. That's interesting. I'll need to look into that, Damien. If anyone else has not followed me on Twitch and you're doing the contest, let me know if it's not working for you. I haven't had any complaints about that not working. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just looking at something here. Yeah, I haven't heard of anyone else having trouble, but let me know and I will look into it. Where was I going? Okay, yes, Art sent me some pictures. Anyways, we did the convention. It was really awesome. I'm going to pull up a couple of these images here, so if you all don't mind, bearing with me just a moment. Oops, sorry, sound. Let me go ahead and pop this up. Stand by, everyone. I am going to bring up my other window here. I got too many windows. Let me switch over to my main screen. There you go. You can see the STARJUMP booth there. It was really awesome. We had this huge backdrop. The backdrop is like the old bosun. Thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. I think you're just testing something for me, but appreciate that. But we had the table. We had the big 10-foot by 8-foot backdrop. We had the retractable STARJUMP Fleet Viewer banner over on the far left of the picture there. We had the spinning hollow fan that was playing models of the ships and all that good stuff. We had a whole bunch of posters for giveaway. We had a chance to enter for a custom Fleet Viewer ship. Congrats to Scott for winning that. And we had a bunch of stickers and really cool pens. We had these little STARJUMP pens here that we were giving away. Really, really cool. It was a fantastic event. I did a talk on stage, and that was hosted by Henkin. For those of you that know Henkin, the streamer, he was sort of the MC hosting everything, and I was on stage talking about STARJUMP Fleet Viewer, STARJUMP as a group, our charity endeavors, and kind of all that good stuff. It was a really cool event. I had a blast. I zoomed out too much. There you go. There we go. Yes, that's me and Henkin on stage. It was a lot of fun. It was one of those things that I was traveling, the week before the event, so it was really kind of a mad rush to get it all together and done. Big shout out to Bingo Winchester and Artorius in chat. Absolutely legendary in helping me get set up and run the booth with me all day. I really can't thank them enough. It was huge. Honestly, without them, I would not have been able to do it. VMXEO, obviously, part of STARJUMP, was there, but they're sort of representing JRDF and the StarFab stuff. So our table was just super close to them, and it was absolutely awesome to see them there. So let me swing back to this. Anyways, Equinox, a lot of fun. If you haven't been, you should go next year. It's really cool. Hopefully, I will be able to. Actually, I'll definitely be able to go next year because I will not be traveling for Memorial Day. So that'll be really nice for the first time ever. Execute, salute to you. Hope you're well. Another cool thing I was going to show. Execute, I just watched your latest video today. I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. The other thing I was going to show off is I just got these from Angry PC Tech. You can see them right here. Pretty snazzy, right? Nice little hard shell box. I'll open this up here, show you what's in it. Again, I told you all we were upping the STARJUMP merch and sort of getting things moving. Comes with a really cool metal certificate of authenticity. It says STARJUMP on it and the holographic paint. Got the Design by STARJUMP Grim there, and all the stuff on the back. Comes with this really cool STARJUMP iron-on patch. Yep, iron-on patch. And then last but not least, the STARJUMP challenge coin here. I'll go ahead and pull that out and show it to you. Hold it up to cam there. You can see, really snazzy. If you're wondering what that logo is, hey, The Rock Knight, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. But anyways, yeah, there you can see I'm holding it up, kind of weird. STARJUMP pin. All of this stuff that you see on here actually does link up to our org, which is kind of cool. More on that later this summer. Me and Ender are currently scoping out the org as we speak. Thank you, Shocker17, for that follow. I appreciate it. On the back is it's a spinner, but it's also got the jump gate. Again, STARJUMP. Got the gate with the swirlies showing the actual jump tunnel, and then on the other side, obviously the STARJUMP Corporation logo. This is our org logo, which again, me and Ender will divulge more about that probably later this summer. We're figuring out a lot of stuff right now about it, but we do plan to officially launch it. It's super thick, really nice. I only have these in really limited quantities at the moment. I gave some out to people that were helping STARJUMP org. It is something I want to produce for giveaways, but I need to make sure I find, a proper cost-effective way of doing that. But again, comes in this awesome case, really cool. Angry PC Tech did a great job with it. I couldn't have been more happy. He was very patient with me, worked with me on getting a good design going. And it took a while too, because I had to work on a design that I felt really represented what we want our org to be, right? So that was a big deal, and it took a while. But I think we're in a good place. Me and Ender were just talking about the org earlier today, and it was really cool, really cool. Let's see here. You just see let's see. Oh, there's Ender. Hello, Ender. Hey, Kavotha. Hope you're well. Salute to you. Jeff Wharton, hope you're well as well. Ender says, I'd like the one you just to be very rare handouts and a different coin to be giveaway. Yeah, it's different coin, but it'll be the same overall design because I'm not going to design like a bunch of custom logos. But the ones here in these cases are pretty pricey, obviously because there's a lot of special stuff and the inserts and all that stuff. But the ones for the giveaways will be very similar in terms of design. Still have the STARJUMP org corporation logo on one side, and then probably a different back because this back, very small. The back of this coin actually says 2954, sort of to represent sort of the founding of the STARJUMP Corp. All right, so what are we talking about tonight? I got the wrong window up. My gosh, this is going to be rough tonight balancing all this because I got a lot of different windows up. Let's see here. Oh, someone just, let's see, let me swing over. Sorry. Eskimonian just gifted a 5 tier 1 subs to quite a few people. Thank you so much, Eskimonian. I really appreciate it. I hope you're well. You're sending the Kraken flying overhead as we speak. Nice job. I'll give you the giant double salute on that. Appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. We've got 53 over in Twitch right now and 120 over on YouTube. I couldn't be more happy that you are all hanging out. I didn't know I was going to stream tonight, but I thought it might be good to go ahead and get this out of the way. I've had multiple requests to talk about the Drake Ironclad. Take a look at the model, see what can fit. And I'll talk about the Fleet Viewer model as well because that was a whole thing. But why don't we go ahead and jump into it so that we're not wasting too much more time. Let's see here. Bear with me, everybody. Again, like I told you earlier, I am juggling a lot of screens right now. Okay, so we're going to not go onto the model just yet, but we will get there. We're going to talk about the Drake Ironclad. You can see it here. And again, if you have a question in chat, you may need to bracket it a few times for me to be able to catch it. So let's see here. Let me go over. Let's see. Meet the Drake Ironclad. Run the skies with Drake's Juggernaut, a free enterprise. The mighty Ironclad, an armored freighter that takes the risks involved in deep space traversal and transport seriously. It stands as a beacon for intrepid, independent pioneers across the galaxy. Obviously, no mystery there. It is a heavy or an armored medium. What do they call it? What did they call this again? I forget what they. There's a specific word they use. Heavy armor, right? So an armored, large cargo ship definitely falls within the large category of ships. It's 120 meters long, and we're going to get to that. There's 2 variants. Again, I'm telling you all stuff you already know. We, of course, have the standard variant, which we're going to take an in-depth look at here. We'll be able to look at what can fit in the hangar, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to take a few speculative guesses here on some things as well. But this is the Drake Ironclads, or the base model, if you want to call it that. I just call it the cargo model. It holds 1,536 SE of cargo, quite a bit actually. That's about the sweet spot I was hoping it would hit. And then, of course, and there's 2 paints. There's the standard and then the Dauntless, which I really love the Dauntless. It's one of my favorite paints ever. And then, of course, there's the Drake Ironclad Assault. This is the kind of military variant, although I hope this paint job is available on the other variant because to me this looks like the cargo carrier. Again, interior, slightly different interior. We're going to get to that, though, once we get into the specifics of the models. It carries 1,152 SEU of cargo, so we're losing a bit there, obviously, but that's in place of a repair bay. Again, we're going to talk about it. there's our Drake Ironclad Assault, and again, you can do that in the Dauntless as well. I'm assuming since the Dauntless will work on both variants, then it's possible maybe the factory standard assault paint could work on the other one. I don't know if CIG will let us do that, but I sure hope they do. Or something very similar. It sold at Warbomb for $400 for the standard, $465 for the assault. I believe that went up. I'm sure chat can correct me if I am wrong. There was a dual Warbond pack for $835. And yeah, there you go. There you go. Very excited for this ship, and like I said, put it into STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. I'll switch over real quick here. Let me add it here. So yes, added it to Fleet Viewer. Here it is. It took a while. The reason it took a while was twofold. One, they put the holo model on the RSI website literally the day I was leaving on vacation. And I ended up downloading the model from like a Walmart parking lot on my hotspot through my laptop. That's how kind of desperate I was to get a hold of it, because I knew everyone was eager for it. Started working on it. It was soon after that Star Destroyer, for those of you that are over on the Pipelines or Star System Modders Discord, you will have no doubt seen his work. Does great 3D renders of the ships. He released some exports, some renderings of the Ironclad. They looked really great. They're fantastic. However, for Fleet Viewer, I really wanted to go back and add back in some of the detail that we lost in the holo model conversion. Star Destroyer did a straight, took the holo model, applied textures and lighting. It's all good. Looked great. But I really wanted to get the additional 3D work back into the model, right? And that did require a bit of effort. But you can see it in areas like down here in the holo model. All this stuff is missing, as well as some additional detailing up here. Some of the engine detailing is missing, so we brought all that back. You know, again, is it game quality? No, of course not. We're working off holo models, but again, was able to get a lot of detail back in there for both variants, so that they'll be accurately represented. We should be good on the size too. Me and Starlight had to make a few size adjustments to the ships, which is very, very common. Fleet Viewer can get you 95% of there when she brings them over using our metrics. Every now and then we do have to go in and like tweak things a bit. Okay, we do have to tweak things a bit. Okay, real quick here, let me catch up on chat here because I've missed a bunch of stuff. Sorry, let me catch up here. PQ Knuckle says, question, how much will they weigh? That's a good question. I don't know. Was there a brochure? That's the question. Yes, I believe there was. Let's bring up the brochure. Sometimes the brochure has the mass. Not always, but sometimes. Not there. I don't see anything on the mass. Yep, nothing on the mass, so we don't know how much it weighs. I can guarantee you it's going to fly like a shit brick house, though. All right, let's see. I see it's going very well. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Oh, execute. Sorry, I just saw your message. Yeah, sure. 1 second. All right, let's see here. Again, if you have any questions, just make sure to bracket the hell out of them so that I see them. I am juggling so many windows. Again, we are going to dive into this right here. We're going to dive into the 3D models, and we're going to get our hands dirty with this ship. If you have questions about what would possibly fit in the hangar, we'll probably be able to answer those because we have pretty good metrics on things. All right, there is execute. So I'm going to drag execute down. Bear with me. Bear with me. Hey there, Execute. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can.
Yeah, I can hear, but how you doing?
I'm doing all right. What time is it over there?
11 o'clock in the morning. It's going to
Okay,
pause
it's
your
not too bad.
stream because I'm hearing you twice. But other than that, I'm
Yeah, sorry. So everyone watching me and Execute, we're chatting, and we did talk about actually discussing the Ironclad together, and I forgot about that because, again, the Ironclad was a weird one. They announced it like 2 days before I went on vacation, and they didn't push the Hollow model out till like I was actually on vacation, so it really screwed my rhythm up dealing with the
yep.
Ironclad. Um, so anyway, how are you doing?
They also, well, they also didn't put it up on the site straight away either, did they? That was there on them as well a bit.
Yeah, and the site was having some issues actually. I remember several people chiming in and saying that the RSI site wasn't loading properly and this and that. So yeah, I mean, it's always during Invictus or IE or any of the big sales. Obviously, the website sometimes is ripe for
Not the
failure.
best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Griff, hello. Hope you're well. It's nice seeing Griff at Equinox. I got to meet the man in person. It was great seeing him. Hope you're well, Griff. Um,
Mm.
Okay, so the Drake Ironclad. I did watch your video the other day, Execute. You mentioned one really interesting thing that I think I have to agree with you on, and it was regarding the Ironclad Assault, which I'm going to switch over real quick to. I have the models up here in Cinema 4D, and you had mentioned something. One of the obviously the main things we're going to talk about tonight, because I know everyone's been asking me, will this thing fit? Will that
Mm.
thing fit? Um, is about the Hangar top and the fact that the Hangar color coding was a little different on the Assault, and I did think that was kind of interesting and possibly a telltale sign or a little bit of like hand wavium to show that that part of the hangar doesn't open. I mean, is that where you
Yeah.
were coming from? Like the fact that the
Yeah.
color, yeah, it kind of blends with the rest of the
Yeah.
ship. Yeah,
Yeah, you can see it in. You can even see it in the Hangar View images that you were looking at before when you're looking at the skins on the website.
yeah.
It comes across in quite a few different places, and I just went. I wonder if that's what it's for because I don't know. You tell me, but from what I could see, it looked like it was directly above the repair bay area, and
Yeah,
so it wouldn't need to retract on that area.
yeah. I'm gonna zoom in here. So here is our standard. And again, it's a little tricky to see sometimes because CIG went um, a pretty glossy lighting setup for this. I think that probably has a lot to do with Gavin Rothery helping out a lot with this ship. I saw that he was one of the designers on it, and he kind of lights his ships this way. But you can see the hangar, the front part of the hangar here where it says 010203, as well as the part of the hangar that says Drake, are all kind of the same color on the standard Ironclad. And then when you go back to the Ironclad Assault, I always think it has a different name. The Ironclad Assault, you can see that there's a very almost like overly obvious color differentiation on those two parts of the hangars, almost as if they're trying to state that this part up here, the darker part with the Drake logo, is either like heavily armored or doesn't animate or is maybe locked down, welded down, whatever you want to say. It's an interesting theory, and I actually do think it holds some weight. Because I was kind of wondering what they were going to do there, and if I was one of the ones that was initially saying, "Oh no, it'd be stupid if it doesn't." Well, I kind of still think it'd be stupid if it doesn't fully open, but I think what they're going to say is that that's different material, and I could even see them doing some different greebling on that part of the hanger to sort of lock it down. You know what I mean?
I think they'd go more with the again just an alternative
Hmm.
is that it's more armor plated in that area to kind
Right.
of like protect the well because it doesn't need to retract anymore. Like it
Right.
only needs to retract the first three panels. It doesn't really need to retract the roof above the repair area.
Right.
And if you're kind of looking at the repair area, the fact that there are walls there,
Hmm.
why would you put walls there and not have something that kind of sits on there as a reinforced roof area? And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it's leaning to. Like there's more armor there, and that's why the wall's there.
I agree, and I another reason I don't necessarily think that the roof or will expose the repair area, or that the repair area has its own sort of sub opening roof is it's awfully close to the kind of command module, or not the command module, the sort of what do they call this here? The not it's not the
Hmm.
bridge, but it's where you look out over
Command,
the command
command,
area,
command deck,
command
command
deck.
deck, and the other one's the command module. Yeah, very confusing.
Right, yeah.
They use the same word
So,
twice.
right. So the command deck, if that door was to open there and you only have that small little area to get stuff down into the repair bay, it's awfully close
Mm.
to that command deck. Now, it makes sense that the entire thing opens on the cargo bay because you're mainly loading things in probably through the front half of the ship, right? And stacking from the back forward in
Yeah.
99% of cases. But to try to maneuver damaged vehicles via tractor beam or ships even or whatever into that little repair bay from the roof, I don't know, seems really dangerous. They also, the door that goes from the main vehicle holding slash cargo bay area into the repair bay, you see it's a really big, like, ultra wide door. I know it's hard to see in this image,
Mm.
but so I think that really kind of answers the question. I mean, I think they'll bring this up during the Q&A because it's been the number one question. But let me ask you this:
But it,
do you think the entire roof not opening hurts the assault in a way that's so
no,
detrimental that you should avoid it?
I, I think it's clearly a design choice because I think there's also a clear design choice between the assault and the ironclad, and that's that front room area is moved forward so you can get bigger tanks in and out on the assault, but then it's moved back to limit that on the ironclad. So I think these are not. I don't think these are visual things. I think these are hard gameplay design choices.
Right.
And the other thing I'll throw into this that I'll kind of put back at you. What did you think when I said I think they might do a pad or ship variant? Like, so this is a vehicle variant in the
Yeah.
assault. Do you think they could go back to the Liberator and make a variant that's all pads as an example?
I mean,
And what I mean,
yeah,
do you remember when I was talking about like the rotisserie style one?
yeah,
Something akin to that. Um,
yeah. I mean, look, I think it could be really. There's a lot of ways to reconfigure this ship to be some sort of ship carrier. In interesting ways. Not only is the hangar area obviously big enough to carry most of the small, extra small, and small fighters, but even if, like, you had something to where the top deck was half landing pad and the other half was elevator or something, you know what I mean? I think you could do something really interesting. However, I don't know if they'll do that with this one. I mean, first off, on any big ship, any ship over 100 meters, personally, I think all of them should have variants. And the reason I think all the big ships should have variants is because if they're going to put all the time and effort into making that big ship, then it might as well appeal to as many people as possible so that they have incentive to actually put this thing into production, right?
I think it also,
I especially think this for ships like the Nautilus and stuff, where they're already so
yeah,
niche. I just have to think,
yeah.
like, when is CIG going to go? You know what? Let's get that mine layer into production. That probably very few people own. I just
Yeah,
At least one other variant, I think, opens the appeal and again gives them incentive. So I would like to see another variant of this ship, though. I just think the variant I want to see is more of a full-on manufacturing, sort of a mini Pioneer.
yeah. It's interesting where they're going because,
Yep.
like, I look at things like the Idris and the Kraken, right?
Yep.
And you've kind of got, I kind of look at it and I think it's more like progression, right? So you look, and I don't know, you tell me your thoughts on this, right? Because
Yep.
this is my thought. Because you kind of got the Idris, you kind of got the P now, and then you kind of upgrade it to the K, and then you kind of upgrade it to the M, right? So
Hmm.
I can see that as an org working together to essentially upgrade the ship. But then I go look at the Kraken. Is that the same thing, or is it a true variant? And the fact that you can switch back and forward between the two, I think that just gives you choice plus progression. So I
Hmm.
think if it's done in the right way, where it's not like this, right? So this where they are two complete standalone variants and you cannot switch between the two. That's what I don't like. But something that allows
I
you to
agree. Yeah.
upgrade and work together as a group, especially in those really big ones like the Idris and that. And let's be honest, this is technically not a large. This technically, oh sorry, not a Corvette. What am I saying? This is not a capital. This is a large like the Nautilus
Yeah.
or the Hammerhead, right?
Right.
So this is in their vein.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much down here. So maybe variants are still the case down here because you are trying to push people up to those bigger org ships.
Hmm.
But I'm just interested to see what comes down the road because, like, we can even look at the Javelin in a way. It's got modular rooms,
Yeah.
so it kind of has that as well. So, you know, I'm but how much can you do that to other ships? So let's
Yeah.
look at another capital. Well, can you do that with an Orion? Can you
Right.
do that with a Pioneer? Like those
Well,
other really big ships, like I just don't see how that's going to pan out when they're utility base. Well, at
yeah.
least I can't, but maybe there's something I'm not seeing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to switch back over to 3D model real quick here, and I'm going to flip her
Mm,
upside down. One of the things I think is kind of interesting. Let me kill the lighting on it it's here, and I know that you can't see in real time. Apologize, but
that's
the
right.
the while it does have built-in VTOLs on the bottom side, there's 4 there on the front of the ship there, in the sort of the middle run of the ship. I could see a variant of this ship where this whole middle section is able to open up on the bottom, and then
Um,
you start.
really quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
really quick questions. Are these VTOLs directly under the cargo, as in where the tanks would be? I'm curious because that's what it looks like. Or am
It
I mistaken?
that's what it looks like to me. Now, because this is the hollow model, there is no labeling for them, so you can't click on it and
Well,
see what it is.
just roll back around to the top and just is the
Yeah,
roof directly above? It
yeah,
is. So
yeah. It's
it's
it's in the
okay.
front of the
Okay.
ship where load would be. It's
Yeah.
right. It's sort of right underneath where the
Yeah.
number 3 number is.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
and one thing, if anyone has ever read deeply into the Kraken's description, one of the things they say about the Kraken is while it does have VTOLs engines, and you can see them on the front nacelles that do rotate, it specifically lists out that it has a ton of VTOLs embedded into the superstructure of the ship, right? They're just peppered on the bottom. I think that's what you're seeing here. These are those just permanently locked VTOLs that help lift this massive thing, and I think that's what you're going to see on big ships like this. I think we'll see it on the Pioneer, Ironclad, Kraken, big ships that are hard to get up. Whereas the Idris, its entire main thrusters rotate, which I don't personally love, but that's another way of doing it. But I thought that was interesting. And if you look here on the back side, the texturing's kind of messed up on this. Apologize, Fleet Viewer, you never see it. You can see a whole bunch more permanent VTOLs blocked in, 8 total. Back here
Mm.
by engineering, so 8 on the bottom there, 4 on the bottom over here. We, of course, have our massive big landing gears that you see in these little enclosures. That's what those are. Those are very similar to the Kraken's primary landing gears. They're these larger ones that fold out. And then next to it up
Mm.
front are the spindly landing gears and more spindly ones in the back. So very similar to the Kraken. Again, we heard them talk about how making this ship will help make the Kraken easier. It's going to be in parts and
Mm.
pieces like this, right? Obviously, the hull's a different design, but there's going to be parts and pieces like this. So, for example, rigging up these gears and all that kind of good stuff will carry over into the Kraken. So,
Okay.
um,
Um, got a question for you. The
yeah,
command module.
yeah,
Could you drop in the caterpillar and kind of invert the caterpillar and put the command modules next to each other?
yeah.
Because I'm curious, are they the same or is it
They
completely bespoke for each one?
they are different. They are different. I will
Ah,
bring in the
interesting.
cat now. The
Physically size different or?
they're a different size and slightly different shape. So there was effort made to make it different. That's for sure. I
Mm.
will pull that over. Stand by. Takes a minute to open because I'm going to open the actual um, uh, game asset of the caterpillar. Let's hope it doesn't crash. But I want to be able to pull the command module here. So we'll just give that a second. The other thing I have done, we'll be able to check out tonight, is I have hollowed out and put the interior in so that we can see what should fit in this ship. Okay, let me group this. I'm going to grab the Caterpillar command module here. Bear with me, everybody. CIG, if anyone from your ship's teams is watching, I'm sorry that I am clumsily bouncing around the Caterpillar. Okay, I'll just grab this. I'll lift this up. You can kind of see there's the interior. You kind of see how ships are built. It's kind of interesting. All right, let's
Mm-hmm.
go over to the Ironclad here, and I'll paste this in. Okay, and Okay, they're different sizes, but that's because my caterpillar is not at metric. So I'm just going to boost this up. Let's see, I don't think I have it the right size. Stand by. Oh, no, I think this is the right size. I think it's a point. Okay, all right, let me bring it up to about the same level. So you will see here that the Ironclad bridge is actually longer by quite a bit. Another telltale sign in regards to it being different is on the Caterpillar command module. You'll see how these like back winglet areas sort of go straight in or mostly straight in, while on the Ironclad they kind of go at a more shallower angle back.
I wonder if it's like a physically updated one and it goes back the other way then. Like they take this module and put it on the other one.
That's what I'm wondering, and I'm wondering if the new command module is a little bit longer, because when I was looking at this execute, I said, man, that's a little bit longer, but like it's just long and like it's just longer
slightly
to the point
thinner,
where you're like, why do a different one at all, right? And my thinking is here is this longer one on the Ironclad possibly could be set up for resource network, meaning the physicalized components and all that stuff. It's possible when they go back to Drake, we could get some sort of gold pass where this command module does grow. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't know what your opinion is, but if they go ahead.
Is it slightly wider? Like the old one seems slightly wider to me. So like they've thinned it a bit. It just seems slightly. It's almost like they've squished it and it's grown longer slightly.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have textures on the Caterpillar.
See the wings? The wings makes it fatter. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit, maybe. Yeah, just a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest though, not having the texture makes it easy to see, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know what? It's mostly the same. We're talking a little bit, and that's my argument. Is it's like it's just bigger enough to the point where you're like, why would you make a new one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, They definitely started with that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I reckon we'll see over time, but yeah, I reckon it might just be some small update.
Now here's what I personally would love to see. And again, Chad, if anyone's asked any questions, I apologize as we're kind of going through the models here. I have a bunch of windows up, but one interesting thing here that would really kind of get me to thinking about some stuff would be if Drake took a slightly different approach to modularity and they came out with more Drake ships that could be connected to this same command module and work interoperable. So for example, you could have your Caterpillar deconnect your command module and then connect up with your Ironclad, or then connect up with a different type of, maybe there's some other ship that is like think about like a Herald but on massive steroids, but you connect the command module to it. You get what I'm saying? That would be a different approach that I think would be really cool. Codename, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if you have the tractor beam on the Caterpillar one, right? Now, we don't have any visuals of the Caterpillar, the one of that on the Ironclad.
Right.
But can you imagine how good that would be for the Ironclad? The ability to detach and then have the tractor beam pulling. You could pull the tanks in and out of the roof if it was on the assault variant. But John Crew did very specifically say it's only for emergency. So that kind of hinted that it doesn't have the tractor beam functionality anymore like the Caterpillar. So
like on the command module, correct?
Yeah. Because you can get in the Caterpillar in game right now, and it's on that bottom glass when you go down the ladder at the back.
But one thing I will say, Execute, is damn near everything else on the command module is identical to the Caterpillar, except it's a little longer. Which, again, I thought was very interesting and maybe a little telling about the future. I don't know.
It's not going to hurt. Well, you take that and chuck it back on the Caterpillar. It's not going to hurt it at all, is it? Because it's sitting free off to the side. So
On the Caterpillar, you've actually got even more clearance. You know what I mean? You've got plenty of clearance back here for that. So I don't know. I think it's something they could possibly do. I think it would be interesting. It would be a different approach to modularity, and I think it kind of would set Drake apart in that regard a little bit, and that could be really interesting.
Yep. Especially if you had like 2 or 3 ships like that where you could interchange between. It makes it a little bit like the Endeavour.
Yeah,
We've always said the Caterpillar is like a mini Endeavour.
always.
So
Yeah,
if you could literally chop between the Caterpillar and the Ironclad, and well, of course you've got the Assault, you know what I mean? But like maybe a third one that just kind of gives it. So you've got your modularity in the Caterpillar, you've got your pure cargo in the Ironclad, and then something else. So like a salvage or a repair or something like that. But
yeah.
we're getting so many different ships from Drake now that it's hard to tell exactly. I think they're just a hyper generalist. I'm starting to think now.
Well, yeah, so everyone knows Drake is my favorite manufacturer, closely followed by RSI. And one of I've always thought of Drake. First off, I've never thought of them as a pirate manufacturer, but what I do think of them as is the like blue collar, good, reliable ship manufacturer. And I do think CIG is. They know the appeal of Drake. They've mentioned how the Cutter is the most popular starter ship, or I think the most popular ship they've ever sold. If you look at the money raised at Invictus this year, they made the most money on the first Drake Day. I think that's telling. I think up until that Drake Day, they were actually lagging behind on money raised this year compared to last. I think they know the appeal of Drake. I don't think that's a mystery. And I'm partly starting to wonder if after RSI, again, by that time, they'll be probably pushing out Squadron. If to make sure finances are shored up, because I'm sure they're going to spend a fortune on marketing Squadron, that they would swing back to a manufacturer that is a guaranteed sell, which would be Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think Drake's the only. I don't think that Drake is the only manufacturer that is popular or anything, but I think it's a guaranteed win. What do you think about
that? So that's a tough one because I talked about this with Paul, right? Astropub, and I think the nail in the coffin that I would agree on that one would be if we then also saw a Corvette, so Polaris size Drake one, because then you've got the natural progression all the way to the Kraken, right?
Sure.
But at the moment we don't have that. But the one that me and Algot have talked about a lot, the two biggest ones after that are in that are next to Drake would be Misk, that we've kind of dismissed a bit because of it needs more gameplay and functionality for a lot of those ones.
Yeah.
And the one, and I think what it's going to be is the manufacturer that drops a lot of concept ships. Now, having just dropped a Drake one, I think that really leans into, yes, it could be Drake. But the only other one that we're aware of, before this dropped was Anvil.
Right.
Now, Anvil always have a lot of things that they need to drop in, like especially the bigger ships. We've essentially got the Kraken, but they also have a military skew. And so you get a military explorer or a military repair or something like that, right?
Right.
So it would sell well, right? Because it's a combat ships. We know they go well. But I think the telling thing will be really whatever comes at kind of CitizenCon, because you've got to imagine if you're selling something there, by that stage, you're going to essentially have the Polaris out. We know they've already started work on the Galaxy, and then the Perseus is around the corner. Like, so essentially that concept would tell you whatever they drop there within 2 years, they intend to kind of have it started or, worked on. So I don't know. You tell me your like timeline wise your thoughts. Not what it is, but whatever is coming. You think they're going to kind of tell us with what they're selling, and that's why I think you might be right with the Drake. But I think the nail in the coffin is if we get another Drake, that signifies it for me 100%.
I would agree. I think another Drake concept revealed, or even if they start talking seriously about Caterpillar modularity and stuff, because I think John Crew or someone in Spectrum did reply that yes, that is still happening. I think again,
yes, he did.
Again, I think the fact that they even bothered. I mean, could have this been just like raising FOMO? Sure, but I think the fact that they even bothered mentioning the Caterpillar with the command module and the Kraken at all in the ISC episode was a little interesting. Now, one way to look at that would be like, well, of course they're going to mention the Kraken. But on the other hand, the Kraken's a limited hull ship. It always sells out. The ones that can be sold are sold. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know if there's like much. I don't know if there's much incentive to hype the Kraken up. It's eked cells out instantly,
Well,
right? So go ahead.
yeah, but like but also knowing it's coming will
That's true.
drive
That's true.
hype sells everything, and what I
Yep.
mean by that is just knowing the Polaris is going in. Oh, look how good and big and amazing this Polaris is going in. It sells other ships too.
Yeah.
I can't afford a Polaris, but I want to get into this game now, so it still pulls new people in as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead. I'm going to switch back to the Ironclad real quick here. The one thing I'm going to do real quick for everyone, because I know we're going to talk about it, is we're going to take the old top hanger here. And no, I don't have the top hanger animating because I don't know how it's going to animate. If I had to guess, I think it's going to fold up and slide in, sort of accordion style. But we are going to lift the hanger top up and reveal inside the ship. We're just going to bring that up and then we will turn it off. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to turn it off. That way I can reattach it even easier. So here we go. I've fully exposed now the Ironclad. Now, is this, let's answer a question real quick. Is this the Ironclad internals? I will go ahead and put the warning bell for all of chat. No, this is not the Ironclad's internals. I took these internals from the Caterpillar and placed them in the Ironclad. The only reason, and I don't usually bother doing that. Why did I do it for this? Well, looking at the cross section of the Ironclad, which I'll switch back to here, from the door opening edges, so from this edge here, which is where the door or the hangar door pulls back, it's mostly a straight wall. It's got a slight incline here at the bottom, but a mostly straight wall down, a flat floor, and a wall on the other side. I felt confident that, okay, I could just bring Caterpillar parts over, replicate that wall and floor structure, and that would probably give us a 95% close idea of the internal space we have to work with so that we can start laying some things in to get a good sense of like what will fit in there. So for example, here's 2 Drake Buccaneers, seemed like the obvious thing to throw in there, giving them both a little breathing room here. You'll see that it's not a massive amount of room, and it's a good amount of room, but it's not huge. You do have to account for the walkways. If you look here on the cross section, let me flip back to the cross section, you will notice, and this is why it's always important to look at some of the details when people start looking at hangar size and if something will fit. If you look here, CIG's got pretty sizable walkways up here. They even show a person up on those walkways to drive that point home. They got walkways on both top and bottom of the ship. Okay, so I made sure to include those in this internal build because you want to be able to account for that, right? I saw some people just the other day laying, I think, in a Cuddy Black over top of the Polaris hangar in Fleet Viewer, saying, "Oh, it might fit." The problem with that is you have to remember that although the hangar door might open that big, the actual landing pad is not going to be that big because RSI's walls slant inward.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So you always have to take that into account.
Yeah, there's that whole thing of the facilities too. It might fit, but it might not have the facilities to repair it or refuel it. A really good example of that is the 890 jump. It is technically 2 S1 pads. It is not an S2, so therefore you can put a 300i in it, but you can't technically repair it or refuel it because of unless they change the rules. But that's been the rules since day one. Right. Until they say differently. The other thing I'll say is I actually reckon the advantage of that ship, if it ever went into like a ship one, you'd want it to be a medium pad, wouldn't you? So like an S3. So instead of 2 Buccaneers, you'd want like one Cutlass as an example.
Right, 1 Cutlass instead of the Kraken's sort of 2 medium ship carry capability. Yeah, that would be sort of the obvious step down. You know, it would be.
Well, I think it's a step up because the Liberator does 2 ships already like that, right? So what's missing is one that can just do a single medium. Because again, the only other ship that can do medium is a Kraken with 2 mediums. So that's a massive jump. There's clearly a gap in there for something that can do. Well, me and Agra talked about it to no end. We were like, imagine if Mist did one, and it's like 2 medium pads that fold out almost like off a whole sea. You know what I mean? Use that same accordion tech, but a different style of ship. And the advantage of that is if you drop 2 medium pads in space, you can then transfer cargo between ships and like a temporary station type of thing.
Yeah. Real quick here, because we're going to get a few of these, so we can keep talking about it. Obviously I know some people are going to have questions of does it fit, so we will try a few of those. I'll just try them as I see them populate up. Probably won't be able to grab all of them. I did see someone ask if the Vulture and Terrapin will fit. We'll check them out. I don't think there'll be any problem with that, but we'll check it out. Did you end up picking up an Ironclad Execute?
No, I just get the CCUs these days.
Yeah.
And even in most cases, you don't even need to hold on to the CCUs. You can just mill them into buyback, and we get plenty of warning now when they're about to come out. You know, they don't just drop. You know, because it shows that they're working on stuff. So they're not just going to go the Bandit Merchantman's out. They're not going to do that. They're going to tell you they're working on it. So I think it's pretty safe. Safe bet to just buy them and mill them into buyback, and you know, then you just buy them back when just before they come out if you really want it.
Yeah. So real quick, the Vulture is 33 meters long, so I need to scale the Vulture to 33 meters long. So we're going to do that real quick. There is a 33 meter long yardstick. I think our Vulture is yep, there it is, 33 meters long essentially. So there is a Vulture. A Vulture will possibly fit in there, but boof, it's it's gonna be a tight squeeze. And with its gears and everything, no, it's not gonna fit. It's too tall. Too tall. There's the Vulture in there. Again, as with everything Star Citizen scale, it's scale plays with you in this game, and you always got to be careful looking at the concept imagery, because a lot of times they shoot it in like super wide field of view, so the ship looks like it could swallow a mountain.
I think that's why we see a lot of ships that are just pads on other ships, right? So look at the Liberator, look at the Kraken. You don't really see, like, especially on the bit, like once you go past the small, because it just physically makes the other ship that has to surround it so damn huge,
so big.
Right? And
keep talking. I'm going to bring up the Terrapin real quick here. Do I have the Terrapin? That's the real question here.
Terrapin's a smaller size. It should definitely fit.
Yeah.
If you had two Buccaneers in there, the Terrapin fits in the Polaris to metrics on an S2 pad.
Question is, do I even have a Terrapin? I don't know if I do. Oh, yes, I do.
How long did you say the Vulture was again? Did you say 38?
I have it as 33 meters long in Fleet Viewer. I'm assuming I measured correctly. 33 meters long. So,
I have to go back and look at the metrics, but the Freelancer is the biggest medium ship.
The Freelancer would definitely be out of bounds. Okay, here's the Terrapin. I already have it to metric. I know because I did make the Ironclad 2 metric in this thing. So you'll see here, yes, execute 100% right. Terrapin will definitely fit. I don't know how high its landing scenario is when it is landed, but I've got it kind of high right now. But yeah, I don't think there'll be any problem with a Terrapin fitting. I don't think that'll be a problem.
They need to talk a lot more about their metrics, because I think that would help more people understand what fits in what very, very quickly.
Yeah. But I mean, let's talk about it's easy to talk about the will it fit sort of thing, but let's go back to what the ship is made for. The base variant, it's made for cargo. Now there is some indication in some of the concept art and stuff that there is a slidable tractor beam sort of gantry thing. I don't know if that's the case. I did see one piece.
The one at the front there. See that black beam that kind of goes to the side of it? I think that's it, and it slides all the way along.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can actually see that if I switch off my main screen. You can see that beam right here, and it looks like it slides on rails, and the main tractor beam
the other way
is there.
The other way you can tell is notice how the tractor beam's not there in that corner anymore.
Right.
So it has to have moved.
Exactly.
So
it's moved. That one. It's moved. Which the nice thing about that shows that because it's up in the front corner all other times, means that it does slide out of the way. So this will be fully open. You can also see on this image, here's our command deck. You can see the hangar is open all the way up to the command deck. So we know that on the base version, it opens all the way up to here. So that kind of gives you an idea of your clearance, right? So if I turn the Vulture back on, the
Can I just throw
Vulture.
something else at you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually think the back one might move as well. Because look at it. It's also sitting on a track to the left if you look at it.
It does look like it's sitting on a track. This one looks like it's actually sitting in like little grooves on the main hull. This one doesn't.
Well, what I mean is like
be mounted, but maybe.
See the beam that's essentially going across the cargo bay.
Yeah.
Isn't it sitting on that same beam? Like you can see it go off to the left in front of the command deck. Or I could be completely mistaken.
Yeah. I think you could be right. I think you could be right. Yeah.
So essentially, because I've seen it before in with cranes and stuff, they have two, and so because if you ever need to pick up something that's really really big, both cranes can pick it up and move in tandem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're just copying real world stuff or whatever, but what I'm thinking of down here, there's a really big like iron forge, and that's how they do it there.
Yeah.
I'm just using what I've seen in the real world, but I could be completely off the mark.
Yeah. Citizen Joel says this concept art is a complete lie when it comes to depicting its size. It definitely plays with your eye. The funny thing is remember, there's the size of the ship and stuff here, and then there's the camera lenses and field of views and all that stuff that they use when they do the concept imagery. This ship is a Gavin Rothery special. You guys will all know Gavin. He's been on STARJUMP Station before. Super nice guy. He actually did a talk at my work as a favor for me. It wasn't about Star Citizen. It was about the film industry, but he was an awesome guy. And my staff at my studio loved it. He was really accommodating. But Gavin, if you've looked at his ships before, he's done a lot of stuff that you all know and love. He's designed the Gladius. He designed the Kraken. He designed... what else has he designed? He designed the Perseus. I mean, he's got a lot of Odyssey. I think he had a part in, if I'm not mistaken. He's designed
some of the coolest ships in the game.
Yeah, some of the.
You just listed all. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of really incredible stuff. I know he's a big fan of Argo. I'm pretty sure he designed like some of the Argo ships. So a lot of this concept art rings very. Here's a good thing to tell if you're looking at a Gavin Rothery ship. If he has told me personally that he is a huge fan of decals. So if you look at concept art and it just has a shit ton of decal work on it, it's probably a Gavin ship. We joke about that all the time. So, also Gavin loves cutaways. So if CIG has cutaways to go along with it, then it's probably a Gavin ship. Let me switch back over to the main screen here. So obviously Vulture probably too damn big. However, Terrapin did fit kind of nicely. Obviously, smaller ships like the Buccaneer, you can get multiples in there. While we're talking, does anyone else have any requests? I saw someone will nurse a fit. Yes, you're going to have tons of nurses in here, and definitely in the vehicle section. I mean, remember, this thing, the assault variant especially, can carry Novas, right? So
you might possibly be able to get six nurses in there at the very least. I'll tell you one thing that I've only talked about once that I'd like to go over you with and just get your thoughts on it as well. Leaning into this is a fortified armor ship. One of the reasons that I haven't heard anyone else talk about, you correct me if you've heard it elsewhere, but the sheer number of engines on this thing is such a redundancy. It's crazy.
It's massive. Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, it leans into the like I'm hard to take down thing.
Not only that, but can I tell you, and everyone I saw, Cuddy Black, Prospector, I'll definitely check to see if those fit. I can already tell you no on the Valkyrie. When I saw these engines, you know what I thought of? I thought of like blockade runner, cargo blockade runner. You know what I mean? High speed in one direction. Think Herald here. That's exactly what I thought of. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a bit similar to the Raelian, but by humans. But like it's this weird middle ground between the Raelian and the Banner Menschman.
Yeah.
Because you remember back to the original concept of the Banner Menschman, and now it's increased so big. Yes. That's why they built the Raelian, obviously.
Right.
But I think this is almost like a flying safe room, is what I get. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
almost like a fortified bunker in space for your goods.
Right.
The way they're kind of pitching it, but I think it's like holding onto it once you get it as well, because it is clearly designed as a drop bucket. Like with those tractor beams on top, you just fly up under a whole sea, and everyone's just like throwing those 32 SCU containers into the
Yeah.
hole and just get the hell out of Dodge. But if you get caught, it's really hard for them to stop you. So you can, send your fighters and that at it and your other ships at it. So this can get away with the goods. Ah, I got
Yeah.
you, booty.
Yeah, I
That type of
mean,
thing.
absolutely. Let me ask you this. Were you surprised that they did not? By the way, Mountain Dew, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. I'm going to load the prospector in now, everyone. Were you surprised, Execute, that they did not make this a modular ship? It seems ripe for modularity for me, but was that a surprise to you?
I think it was a design choice.
Yeah.
I think they would look and list stuff on a page, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is from the design stuff I've done, right? So I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, right? And I think at some point they would have gone, this is too strong. If we give this the ability to assault ground targets and do all the other stuff that this can do, because think about it, how many other, besides the Caterpillar, there's no other real ship that is highly specialized at loading in space. Right? C2 doesn't even have tractor beams. The whole series is completely exposed, but it can still do the space stuff.
Yeah.
This is completely enclosed, plus it has all the tractor beam stuff so it's a combination. It's the best of the C2 and it's the best of the whole series all in one ship. But then again, it's not as big as the whole series, but obviously it's heavier and bigger than the C2, so it requires more people. So it is balanced.
Yep.
If you also gave it all those extra guns and the ability to drop all those crafts off that the C2 have, doesn't that kill the C2? Yes, it does.
It would,
but if you make it so it has to pick between the two, so it can do what the C2 does, but you give up the ability to do the space piracy, quick dumping type stuff.
Right.
Yes, I think that then still does have a place.
Everyone who's curious about the Prospector, yes, it fits and fits quite easily. No problems there.
Actually, I got one that I want you to test, and it's purely based on height, and that would be the Legionnaire. But I don't think it will fit.
Okay, let's check it out, and then we'll check out. Excuse me. After the Legionnaire, we'll check out the Cuddy.
No. Actually, don't check it out because I know it's not going to fit.
Okay.
But based on the other ships that you put in there, no, it's not going to fit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, if you think about it, you can figure it out.
Yeah, we might can try it out. Why not, right? Let's see here. We'll go ahead and try the Cuddy Black. I know the Cuddy Black's not going to fit.
Yeah, it's too tall.
If
the Vulture doesn't fit, the Legionnaire is taller than the Vulture. That's why I know.
The Cuddy is actually a pretty damn tall ship, just in general, when it rotates its wings up. Or it's
also a medium, just like the Vulture, so it shouldn't fit.
Right.
So clearly, what we're seeing here is this is essentially closest to an S1, an S2, not an S3. Right. So you're not going to get anything that's S3 fitting into it.
Yeah. What is the size? Right. Is this size? Yeah. So here you go. Here is a Cuddy. It's just not going to fit. You can see.
Now imagine raise that up for raise it up for me, so it's equal where the roof is, and then unhide the roof for a second.
Yeah, let me.
And then we can imagine what if
top hangers back on, and then I think I have. Do I have these rigged to rotate? I might. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Now, can you imagine that if that was a pad?
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, and again, the ship doesn't have to be as fat. Then it's more like a
I mean, technically,
the one from Prometheus. The big flat platform. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Ezra, thank you for that follow. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone who's watching, I know we got quite a bit on Twitch and YouTube. Don't forget, you can scan the QR code right on the left side of the screen. I'm doing a Polaris giveaway. I'll give that away on June 30th. It's a Sunday. There's a couple ways to enter. I'll probably be adding some more. I'm trying to add good old Ender's Twitch in there, but Sweep Widget's being an asshole. But I'm working on it. But anyways, go to that link and you should get set up on that giveaway. Here, I mean, it makes me really wish, honestly, that you took if you had the Ironclad. I'm just gonna go crazy here for a minute. I'm gonna take the Ironclad. I'm gonna make it a little longer. right? Just imagine if it
Oh,
was
you
a
mean
little longer.
the Iron Shad, the Iron Shad? Yes, yes.
Yes, if it was a little longer to where you could get maybe just like imagine if it was just two medium ships, but you didn't get any
Mm,
of the other small pads or the internal hangars. It was just a flat
mm,
pad. And
yeah.
instead of it having a voluminous like center, you could have just made it be a deck, a flight deck, right? So it could have been a little lower than the command deck. That would have been an
Mm.
interesting ship. I think we're going way beyond variant or anything at that point. It's just a new ship,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it would be sort of a mini Kraken because that's the other thing. The Kraken,
Mm,
yes, it's got the two medium pads, which coincidentally can
mm,
support some large ships like the Caterpillar, any ships that have a small
mm.
landing gear base. But it also has the four starboard side small. Are they small or extra small? I forget. I think they're
You've
small.
inadvertently visually put a really cool idea for a ship in my head.
Yeah.
So imagine just from what you were saying. So imagine there was no walls on the cargo bay of this thing,
Yeah.
right? And the whole front of it is essentially disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially you've just got the flat on the front.
Just
But
a
then
flat.
imagine there's two. Imagine there's two of them and it's retractable, so it actually one stacks under the other, then it stacks under the entire ship.
Yeah, that could
So
be
the ship
interesting.
goes from this little square to like a long rectangle with two step downs,
Mm-hmm.
and those two step downs are medium-sized landing pads.
That could be
And that would
interesting.
look that. Well, who I'm thinking of is Argo because of the retractable thing with the raft.
Yep.
You know how the rafter. Oh man, that could be so sick.
I saw someone ask about a mantis. We can look at that real quick. I have no
And
idea
just
if
to
the
make
mantis
it
will fit. I always forget how big the
and
mantis is.
to make it different, instead of it pushing like this does, it pulls the ships along.
Right.
So it's from behind. Mantis should fit its size
Pretty
too.
small, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
They really need to start. Oh, might be a hype.
So the interesting thing here, I'm just going to show everyone here. When I bring the mantis in all the ships, and I bring it up, you'll notice how it's not in the center. That's because the center line of the Ironclad is not the center of the ship. It's slightly offset because of the command module, which is kind of interesting. Thank you, Cal Tipper and Exile. Appreciate it.
You reckon it's got anything to do with the center of mass on that ship too, essentially moving because you got to put cargo in and then take it out?
Yeah.
Because most ships have a center of mass.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And yes, you were correct. Execute Mantis should fit. A little bit of a tight fit, but should get in there just fine. Now I am going to switch over real quick because I was curious about something. I wanted to go with, and I said at the beginning of the stream, I don't know if you were watching yet, Execute, I said that I had watched your video and you had mentioned on the Assault variant the different colored roof, possibly giving us a clue into what part of the hangar opens and what part doesn't open. So on this one, I decided to just do that part of the hangar and not the other one. So I'm going to remove that now. And you can see I got a wall back there, kind of a temporary setup wall. Looking at
it's kind of, is it like in the middle of the roof?
So I'll show you. I'll show you the clue here I had. I'm gonna switch over to my screen over here. So if you look, this wall that's right behind these novas and those in actually, let me go to a different cutaway. Sorry, I got a better cutaway right here. The wall here that's right behind the novas that separates the main vehicle holding area to the vehicle repair area. If you look, it lines up directly with this entryway on this port side staircase exterior scaffolding. Okay, that was my clue to where that wall is. So on my on the Ironclad model here, that's exactly what I did. I sort of positioned that wall to be pretty much where this entry doorway is here on the Assault variant. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what you're dealing with space. But even with that, this top roof doesn't go all the way back to that wall. There's an overhang, a pretty sizable overhang too, of at least, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 meters. Which, if that's the case, if that part of the roof does not move, that makes your entry area here even smaller, right?
Yeah. which is, I think, intentional.
Yeah,
so you can still get
smaller.
cargo in and out, but it restricts the ships that you could even try and put into it.
Right, and in that regard, like let's say that was what the deal was. Let's say the roof only opened to that level. Let's say you're right, for argument's sake. Then what you're dealing with is you're dealing with a situation where, let me see, do I have it in here? Where is it?
Well,
Where
you
you're
chuck the
dealing,
mantis back in there.
yeah, you're
It'd
dealing
be
with
impossible to
like.
get the mantis in.
Let me flip this around. Some ways I have these two ships reversed, but you'll notice here because you'll want a little room for clearance. You got about enough room for a fighter to get out. I'm using the Buccaneer, which is probably one of the shorter ones, but put a slightly longer one in there, and you got about enough room for one fighter to get out and still have, a little bit of safety space on the sides. But you're going to want to, you're going to want that.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can't get that ship into the service area.
Right. You
So
can't
you
get
notice
it in there.
if you go back to the actual image, that tank has been driven in there for its repairs.
Yes.
How the hell can you get a ship? You can't get that ship in there. It's too wide, right? So I think they've deliberately put these restrictions in so you can't actually use it like a repair.
Yeah.
Now I had Algrid arguing with me that you could run out and repair it with a hand tool. So yes, you're in a kind of safe space because you're in an armored box.
Right.
But really, do you want to be doing like hand repairs when you've got other things that probably going to need repair at the same time if you're on a battlefield? So at time and place, yes, I can see it being, but
the only way I could see hand repairing, especially in combat situations, being viable is if CIG, and I could see them doing this, much like they do with the tractor beam, the handheld tractor beam, unless they did larger repair, I want to say weapons, but larger repair weapons, right? Or if there are Titan suits that can repair or something like that. But that's something that's not mentioned much either, is that if Titan suits are what we think they are, the assault variant could be like one of the ultimate Titan suit carriers. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, it speaks to that whole service area.
Yep.
We don't quite know the size of them. Now, you put it out to me, but I would say that they are smaller than an Ursa. I would say that they are a small vehicle.
Yes.
Again, if you look at the person in that, and then try and put them in a suit,
right?
They're half the size of a Nova type of thing. So you could probably fit 8 in there, type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The first thing that came across my mind when I saw the assault variant wasn't vehicles, even though that's what they showed. It was Titan suits. And I know we haven't heard a lot about that, but I've long since wondered what the best deployment method for Titan suits was going to be. And not just combat related ones, but industrial ones, stuff like that. And I honestly think, even though they didn't advertise it, they didn't mention it or anything, this is the ultimate Titan suit ship. Mainly because even if you have Titan suits that are like, or like someone in a Titan suit who's EVAing in that Titan suit, let's say they're doing industrial repair or salvage work in it.
Yeah.
Very easy to get back aboard the Ironclad by just coming through the big old wide opening there for you. If you're on the ground, you got that nice big ramp that walks all the way back. You got the full big doors that goes all the way in the repair bay to repair your Titan suit. So again, they didn't mention it, but if Titan suit gameplay is something that you're really excited about, I could see this ship being a really nice companion to that.
Slight tangent. Griffin and Fastcut did an episode on their stream that I only caught about half of, where they're talking about different types of monetization. And I don't know if they did talk about Titan suits, but man, if you drop Titan suits as a sale, that would be a great money raiser. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And I saw Fastcart and Griff, and there's New Soul in chat. I hope you all are well. Salute to you all. Always a pleasure having you in my chat. Thank you for the follow, 64 Fedoras. Appreciate it. All the follows tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's again, once they even start sprinkling the idea of Titan suits, I mean, it's an instant money maker. I think CIG has a few things in their back pocket where if they need to get, an increase in funding, they can flip that switch. Not that it's an instant thing like that. Obviously, they need concept art and all that kind of stuff. But they have some things in their back pocket that they know the community is waiting for. Things like Titan suits, an Anvil capital ship is another one that people want. So there's stuff out there that
of the two variants, which one do you think is the better purchase?
Well, I wish I could combine the two, but for me, the better purchase, and I'll go ahead and admit, and I think I can say this from an unbiased perspective because I got both of them.
Right.
But for me, the standard variant is the one to have.
Yeah, I agree.
I
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the
You tell me
assault
why
variant.
then.
I think the assault variant has a future for sure, but I think that future will be better realized when some other stuff is online and is important. So
Yeah, it's too niche because it's that combat. It's just deploying the combat and then you're done type of thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's a bit like the M2, where you're deploying the combat, and
yeah,
you're actually giving up your everyday cargo to just have that feature that you're only ever going to really kind of do on the weekends type of thing, like
yeah.
in those big assaults and stuff. With
Well,
this, you can use every day of the week, and let's be honest, there's no reason you can't put 4 tanks in this thing and just unload them through the roof. Like you've
right,
got 2 tractor
sure,
beams there. You can essentially pick one up and lift it over the side.
right.
Like
So
it's not going to be the best, but like it will take longer, but you
yeah,
could do it.
here's my thinking. Is you may well know you are tuned into a lot of the knowledge that I try to get my hands on. I think base building is going to be a big thing for Star Citizen in the future. I think it's and when I say base building,
Yep.
meaning your house, a manufacturing facility, whatever. I think it's kind of
Yep.
the end game, right? So
Yep.
taking that into account, one of the main things I think you're going to want to do when building any sort of base or any sort of facility is put as many automated AI driven air defense turrets and missiles and all that crap
Yep.
around. And if that is the case, I could really see ground attacks being something that have a lot of weight to them and a lot of importance. If that happens, if those series of events happens, if bases become that thing and
Yep.
anti-air defenses are a major part of that, which I think they will, then ground attack suddenly becomes important. Then your ironclad assault is important. It's a very valuable ship at that point.
Yep.
Really,
I think one other thing that you've reminded me of that sets this ship, as in both ironclads, apart from say the Hercules. Now the Hercules can do it as well,
mhm.
but you can take 2 MCVs in this thing. Right? Now
Right.
on the Ironclad, you can obviously drive them out, so that would be a sub mission for
Oh,
like
right.
that'll be its everyday job.
Yep.
You can deliver 2 MCVs to someone.
Yes.
Well, again, you were just talking about base defenses. Now, are you going to want your pioneer going around building all the base defenses, or do you want
Right.
it working on the main structure and you can drop off an MCV and you can go around and deploy all
Yeah.
the base defenses, right?
And the
So
MCV being
again,
the manufacturing thing that's mounted on the Atlas.
mobile mobile
System.
construction vehicle
Yep.
by Argo that works on the Atlas platform by Amble that we've seen in the
Oh,
renders that
okay.
they dropped.
Right, right. We've seen it in the renders. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. So it's made so the platform is made by Argo, but it's essentially attached to the Atlas Anvil chassis.
Well, it's another collab. We haven't seen a collab in a really long time.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The most notable one is the Starfarer Gemini, half
Right.
Aegis, half Anvil.
Right.
And let's be honest, not Anvil, sorry, half
Misk, yeah.
Aegis, half Misk. But we don't see a lot of them, and I want to see more of them.
Yeah.
Because like, look at the real world, you see them all the time. Even Apple and Google collab in the real world on things.
Yeah.
So
Old Bosun asked a question real quick. I didn't want to miss it. Did you see any access points for the upper deck, like the Corsair? So I'm zooming into the model here. I don't remember seeing any, Bosun.
Go back to the
All
concept
right,
image.
Let's go. Go back to the concept image. Let me go back.
The concept image of the there is a back door there. See that ramp? Oh, you just had it there for a second.
Oops, sorry.
There is a. That's all right. It's my fault. I got you to change, and then I noticed something, and then tried to get you to change back. Go to the one where it has the 2 tractor beams on top, and the camera's kind of looking at the cargo bay.
Yeah. Let me go. I think here. Stand by. Let me go up. I think that image right here. Right.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So you can see people standing on the deck there.
You can, yeah.
Up on the roof area. But also, if you go back to your 3D model, I just remembered there is a door on the back that comes out, and you can see it very clearly.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So if you just rotate it, there you go. Go back across to the middle turret. See the door there below the middle?
Oh yeah. Yep. yep. I think you're right. Obviously, in the hollow model,
Yeah.
it's oh yeah, and there's a
Oh,
railing right here. I think you're right. I think that
yeah,
is a
yeah.
door right there.
It is a door. I've
Yep,
seen it in other images, but
yep,
it actually has a door. But there, it's just a block.
yeah.
Um,
There you
but
go.
yeah, you,
That's a great point. I didn't know about that. Good call out, Bosun.
mm,
Yeah, so it looks like you do have rooftop access. I did see
mm.
another question here I want to grab. How important is it? How important, this is from Run Runner on YouTube, how important is the armored ship when attackers can focus on the external command module to disable?
Ooh,
Um,
that's a good point.
it's a
That
good
is a good
question.
point. Like, can't you leave people behind on the command deck? I no, they did say it's flyable only for. Well, you got to remember, MFDs were eventually going to be able to be fully customized, right?
Right.
So you can do anything from any MFD. So I have to assume. Remember they said you could fly ships from engineering technically.
Yeah.
So in a pinch, if the command module was to leave, you would be able to fly the ship on the command deck.
Right.
You'd have to be able to.
I
Because that
hope
would
that
go back against what they've said previously.
I sincerely hope they make that change. It seems like an awfully it seems like an awful amount of wasted space, to be quite honest with you, to observe cargo
Well,
loading and operate a tractor beam.
well, another way to look at it is the battle bridge on the 890 jump,
Yeah.
right? How are you going to have that effectively work if there's two people fighting over it? No, you can pass control to somewhere else,
Right.
and stuff like that. Because again, what happens if the command module is disabled? Is the whole ship taken down? Like that is ludicrous. If you think about it, that is a
Yeah.
huge design flaw, and people would exploit the shit out of it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Why am I going to
Again,
shoot this big fortified thing when I could just shoot this little weak thing on the side?
I mean, again, the whole thing is the whole command module thing is so strange to me, especially when you hear John Cruise say things like, "Well, you really don't want to like be attaching, be flying around in it." It just seems like a lot of complexity for not enough benefit. Yes, I guess it could be your escape pod, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like enough. However, again, if they went back to that change I was discussing, where the command module is thought of as more of a tractor module for a lot of their, and a tractor, I'm using it in a different context here, sort of a towing definition. But if there was some sort of like command module within Drake that can attach to multiple types of Drake ships, that would be really cool. And what would be extra cool is if you could get rid of that damn Dragonfly Bay on the Kraken, and maybe it's a command module docking place, so you could fly it from a command
Yes.
module. Dock, although this might be able to dock on another area of the Kraken. The Kraken does have a docking collar, but that would be really cool. Some sort of command module repair facility would be neat. Although again, I guess you could just land your repair or your command module on the Kraken and repair it anyway. So,
It'd be kind of cool if all the bigger Drake ships had that. Like it's just a thing, like
yeah,
because it's like their escape pods in a way.
that
So yeah.
and Drake is all about kind of just being very. I think that their stuff's very straightforward and all that, and I think that kind
It was
of
meant to be a thing where they all work together as well, isn't there?
exactly. And I thought I remembered reading this, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I thought there was in lore they used a lot of parts and pieces from all their ships within all their
Yeah, they
ships,
do.
right? So it would just be
Yep.
real. It would make a lot of sense, and I think it would give Drake a unique spin on the like modularity sort of thing. It's not really modularity, but it would just be really interesting, I think. Um,
Mm.
I could see even Argo doing something like that in the future. But I don't know. I think it just gives the ship a lot of personality. But that's a really interesting question they had about targeting the command module. We do know this thing is heavily armored. I would hope. Let me look at the spec sheet again here. Did they list the shields?
Do you think S3? Do you think
Okay,
the command module, both on the Caterpillar and this, are really more like drop ships for it to, so you don't, because both of them aren't that great in atmosphere. This thing is essentially a massive flying fortified brick, and the Caterpillar is a brick, right? They don't have a lot of VTOLs over them. So if you don't want to go down to planet, but you need to go down there to get something, you disconnect the command module, and that flies down, gets the the small. Okay,
Yeah.
theory. Every time, just throwing this out there, the command module got slightly bigger so it could hold a few SCU.
I have another thought on that. Let me switch over to this real quick. I think I may have answered that question for us. So on the document, let me zoom out a little bit here. I'm on the brochure document. They have the stats for the Ironclad, obviously, the stats for the assault, but then the last page is the stats for the new command module. And one thing you'll notice is it now has 6 jump seats in it. The original one did not. Which means
so it's a variant of the command module, essentially.
It's a variant of the command module. But again, I go back. This needs to be on the Caterpillar. The Caterpillar could use those 6 jump seats on the command module. Again, especially if you're using it as some sort of escape pod. You know what I mean?
But what are you giving up, though, on the other command module had life support and living quarters for 4 people, though. So that's what you're giving up. So this literally is an escape module. The other one was like a living one as well, but maybe the other one...
That's a good point.
The other one needs like just 2 SCU. Not a lot, just enough to... Like the other one's got a shoilet on it. It's got like... it's the actual full cooking area on the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
That is a duplicated underneath on the command module.
Right.
It's insane.
Someone was asking, again, I'm trying to catch these when I see them, everyone. That's really interesting, by the way, that we read that about the command module. I didn't know that. Someone asked about the Nomad. That's something I can easily check. Stratobic, thank you for that follow. You're probably just testing out, though, to make sure the Polaris thing is working. Here is the Nomad, everyone. Let me center it up again because the ship is off center. Yes, the Nomad should fit just fine as long as it doesn't hover too high. No, I think you're good. Nomad should fit just fine. Shouldn't have any problems there. So yeah, that's interesting. So let me ask you this. Do you think they're just going to... Do you think what we're seeing here is the new command module? Because I think it's kind of interesting that, they gave it its own page in the brochure. You know what I mean? With stats and everything.
I think they wanted to show that it was different to the other command module.
Yeah, so it's got
the jump seats.
So I mean, even look at that. It's got 1 pilot, 1 co-pilot, 1 comms, 1 navigation, and 6 jump seats. So that's 10.
Well, actually, the other one's got 2 jump seats in it. But then, if you extended it back further, would that give you room for 4 more? Is that what the extension's for? So you can get 2 more jump seats in there?
Yeah, possibly so. 1 quantum size, 1 drive, right? 1 quantum fuel tank, 1 regular fuel tank, 1 shield generator. So again, listing out the details for this. Yeah.
The main problem with this that they kind of highlighted in the ISC, but they don't really kind of spell it out. There are pros and cons to it, right? It doesn't have a jump drive, right? So if you're in a system that's away from home, you can't get home in this thing. But if you are in your own system, then yeah, you can get home. That's the big difference.
And for those that are maybe you're new to Star Citizen and a little unaware of this, because again, this is a lot of knowledge that some people don't have because we aren't technically jumping anywhere in game right now. But there are quantum drives, but there are also jump drives. The jump drive is what takes you through the jump points from system to system. Quantum drive is for in-system travel. I'm correct here, right?
Let me modify what you said
that, please.
Ever so slightly.
That's okay.
Go ahead. What you can do now is you can look in ships. So you could look in the cutter, you can look in a lot of the newer ones that have the components done on them. And so above where the drive is, so like on the Spirit has this, there's a whole bunch of the new ones that have it. So where the quantum drive sits is there's like a little half gap component. So it's not as big as a whole drive, but there's these little clips on top of the quantum drives, right? So what it does, and this is how it worked in lore, something happened to someone's quantum drive and it allowed them to go through the jump point. So what that does is you just put the little modifier on top. The jump drive is a little modifier to the quantum drive, and it allows it to also jump.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But some ships don't have the power or whatever, so they just, if they don't want a ship to be able to jump, they just don't put that little gap there for it to accept the module.
Right. Real quick here, PQ Knuckles on YouTube asked, does the Assault variant have an internal turret? Yeah, I can answer that very clearly for you. Switching over here to the website, they actually have a highlight for it here on the main cutaway. It has a one size 2 interior turret. It's a remote turret. I'm assuming for interior security. Just kind of interesting. Are there any other ships that has that? He says the BMM. I didn't know that was the case with the BMM, but it's interesting that this ship has an interior turret.
Yeah, I'd have to go look. It's been a hot minute since I looked at the BMM.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's not many that have interior. Well, obviously, as soon as you're shooting, you're damaging yourself every bullet you miss. You know, so
yeah,
when you fire that thing, you're going to want to be sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Well,
imagine if put it this way: imagine if an enemy hacked it and then they destroyed all your tanks.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because if they're a remote turret, that means they're hackable.
Mm-hmm.
So
right. Any other thoughts about the Ironclad execute?
So me and I are going to do a show on this, right? And I might even pull you in on it if you want to come. Yep. We were going to do it last weekend, but
if our times can line up, I love being on.
Yeah,
it's always that time.
Yeah.
Working that. So
I haven't, and when I take both variants here, I have not seen a ship that has tried it on more other ships. It's almost like you line up like 7 or 8 ships on a couch, and the Ironclad just comes along and jumps on all of them.
Yeah.
It just treads on so many. Like I think I'm up to about 10 ships at this point.
The standard Ironclad, right? The
yeah. No, I'm talking about both.
Just both variants.
They both tread on about 3 or 4 each.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just really interesting because it now gives you that player choice that we talk about so much. And it also shows that there is no perfect ship in the game, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you can take the ship you've got and it scales left and right of where it is, but there's always going to be a ship that does the stuff at the extremes better, and then there's that perfect niche. That's what makes a great ship. Flexibility, but it still has its own little niche.
Yeah. Let's play devil's advocate for a moment here. If let's say CIG at the end of the RSI family of ships, which that's a question in and of itself. Is CIG just going to do the ships they initially listed, which were the Polaris, Galaxy, and Perseus, or will they continue on with some other RSI ships, perhaps the Arastra or something like that? Or after the those initial 3 RSI family of ships, which they're going to have to, they need to do them because they've announced it at this point. But if they move those out and they circle back to Drake, let's say that is what they do. And again, I think there's plenty of arguments on why they could go for Anvil or Misk. But let's say they went back to Drake.
Yeah.
We've got the full Drake lineup already, except for the Kraken and now the Ironclad. What are we missing from Drake?
That's where it becomes the eternal question, because this essentially added repair into their lineup.
Right.
So you start to sit here and think, you can look at it from a functionality perspective. I can't answer that, right? But I can answer the size that's missing, and that's the Polaris Corvette size.
Yeah.
They don't have that.
That 160 meter kind of,
Yeah, and
but and I guess that's and I think I heard you say that on your previous on your episode with Algred, and that intrigued me a lot. Obviously, being a Drake fan, anytime someone says Drake Corvette, my ears perk up. But what would a Drake Corvette be? Would it be some sort of military offering, like some sort of militia offering, or something else, industrial, or?
And that's the eternal question.
Yeah.
Well, you start to look at what can Drake offer at that size, right? And I never would have thought they would have brought out a cargo ship from Drake that was this size when they already had the Caterpillar, right?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this.
But you bring it around. I start to think of hacking. Is where I go. When we looked at the Polaris all those years ago, and they started to bring out the Nautilus and they started to bring out the Hammerhead, we did an episode years ago now called The Missing Corvette, and the one that we came up with was hacking and e-warfare.
Yep.
Now, you tell me, knowing how piracy is,
yep,
and how they always have a piracy skew. Now, I know they're not complete pirates, right?
Right.
But they definitely have a leaning towards that stuff. And knowing that the Herald is right down the bottom,
Yep. I'll switch back
that's
to
where
the
my mind
cinema in
goes.
just a minute, everybody. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No, I'm kind
I
of
mean,
done. I just think e-warfare essentially
e-warfare
is a massive
hacking.
gap.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would be really cool. We haven't heard anything about hacking beyond, I think, what was our last update on that, really sort of surrounding Legionnaire, right? Beyond that, though,
Mm.
we haven't heard
Yeah.
a lot, if I'm not mistaken. Someone
Yeah.
asked about the lightning here. I'm pretty sure the
Yeah.
lightning will fit.
The lightning will fit 100%.
Yeah.
I already replied to them in chat.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, we'll throw
Mortal
it in
Kombat.
there for shits and
Um,
giggles, but
yeah, that's fine. The other thing I want to address is what you said about Robert Space Industry.
yep,
And then is the other clear shift to actually releasing ships with some form of gameplay, right? So that
yep,
tells me they've got to get torpedoes working fairly well. That's why they're doing that weapons pass at the moment that kind of like nerfed all the torpedoes
yep,
because they're going to go back and do a weapon pass on torpedoes. But then you go into the Galaxy,
yep,
base building. Then you go from the Galaxy to the Perseus. Well, the Perseus is just a combat ship with modified ammo just for it. But they
right,
also mentioned that they wanted to put in custom ammo last year in one of the monthly, not the monthly report, I think it was a monthly report or on the
right,
roadmap, and that got taken off. So again, that's all that's really coming with Perseus is custom ammo.
right.
So again, you can see where it's coming. So where I go next is what gameplay. If you look at the gameplay that they want, we know they talked about hacking with the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire's been dropped off to next year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Does
That's a
that
great
line up
point.
with a? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. By the way, I threw the F8 in here too wide. F8 is too wide to fit in the Ironclad.
Doesn't that is that with its? But doesn't its wings fold down?
That's
Remember?
with its wings folded in flight mode. I'm not sure how the wing does fold up. So
They fold back. It folds back behind the thing.
do they? Okay.
You don't. Yeah, you don't even want it to go to that far frame. See the kind of. Yeah, that'd fit, but it's tight.
It's tight. Yeah. Yeah. You might. Maybe you could do an angle
talking
or
about.
something.
So you know, see the fins right at the back.
Yeah.
How they kind of go right round the outside.
Yeah.
It's the two extremes of those is what you want to look at.
I got.
So that would because those wings fold under that.
Oh, I see. I see. So these back wings here, the back triangle. So let's move it down.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what? I'm going to say this. It's going to be ultra tight. It's going to depend on how CIG builds out the internals. Remember, big woo-woo alarm here. These internals here, I mocked up.
It's a heavy fighter, so technically isn't it an S3? It is a medium, not a small. I'd have to go double check out the
right.
metrics.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the Scorpius falls into that as well, so you would have the same problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one nice thing about the Scorpius is its wings fold completely back, limiting its footprint. But yeah, I agree. Sertagi, thank you for that follow. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, my personal hope is that Drake is after RSI. I would love for this ship to get made. I would love for the Kraken to get made. Obviously, me and you are both Kraken owners. I think that ship is amazing, and I can't wait for it. It scratches a lot of my, USS Flag, G.I. Joe as a kid memories.
Yep.
But fear not, Misk and Anvil fans. There's still a lot of ammo that suggests one of those manufacturers could be it. For Misk, there's just a lot of backlog. They have the Expanse, they have the Odyssey, they have the Hull B, the Hull D, the Hull E, and probably new ships in there. The freelancers have been long talked about possibly getting a little touch and fixing up. Although they did get a touch-up pass just recently. So, and I could easily see the Reliant series getting kind of a gold pass or whatever you want to call it. So there's plenty of work to do on the Misk line. And I think that even though Mirai is not Misk, I think they've been playing around in the Mirai playground a little bit. So, maybe Misk could be a thing. With Anvil, I think what's the argument there is that we knew the Legionnaire was kind of being recons or getting back into production. Now they, like Execute said, they put a hold on that. Another interesting thing is with the Mark One Hornets being retired, it kind of makes you wonder, well, are they retiring them because they're about to go full force into making the Mark Two updates to all those? You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. That's something we talked about too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they've
Turtle, thank
kind
you for
of,
that follow.
yeah, they've kind of confirmed they're a thing. But again, look at the Ghost, no gameplay.
Yep.
Look at the Tracker, no gameplay. So this is where I'm leading, right?
Well,
Is
that's a great
follow
point.
the
That's a
game,
great point.
follow the gameplay, because they've literally kind of said they don't want to release ships that don't have their gameplay anymore, and they want to really kind of enforce that a lot more now,
Yep.
right? And yes, there are times where they've broken that with things like the raft and stuff
Yep.
like that, but that wasn't intentional.
Yep.
Again, best laid plans.
Yeah. It's important to remember
when
they don't control the other team's pipelines. They do
That's
the
it.
best they can
Yeah.
to line them up, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what those meetings are in January. They're trying to line things up with
Yeah.
each other to, for
Yeah.
the entire year. And sometimes when you're doing things over an entire year and multiple people, they just don't land.
Rupert, I did
best laid plans.
I did see that follow. Thank you very much. I did see someone say give more consolidated outland ships. I'll switch over real quick. I mean, one thing. I mean, I'm a big Pioneer fan too. For those that don't know, and you may have missed this when you're watching it. How you may have caught it too. Not to suggest you missed it, but in the "I Held the Line" trailer, you do see a massive consolidated outland ship.
I've had multiple people argue with me about this. It is a consolidated outland ship.
It is
but
definitely
it is not the Pioneer.
It's not the Pioneer
because straight off the bat, it's not wide enough.
Yeah,
it might be the same length, but it's not the right width, and it's a completely different color, obviously.
Exactly. The reason I knew though it was Pioneer. Well, not only is the bridge like a mainstay there, but a couple of other little details. So you see how they got these like little like serrated slats on the side. The Pioneer has the exact same thing in its model. The exact same thing.
If you had to take a guess straight off the bat of what it could possibly be, what's your first guess? Because I'll tell you what mine is.
My thought was freighter.
So go a little further. If you go in the video, just a tad, you've got to pause it at just the right spot.
Okay.
Just as it's flying over. So you want to see what's on top.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. That doesn't look like a freighter. Looks like a refinery ship, maybe.
Exactly. So I think it's a bigger starfarer. Do you remember when I was telling you about what we nicknamed the Nebula?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This could be that, or so it's either it's a refinery ship, fuel transporter, or the fuel collector. Now we know fuel collection is a thing, like gas collection is still a thing, and because the Starfarer still does it, so there has to be other ships that do that as well. We also heard that the Prospector. The underground mining was still a thing, and then 5 months later they turned around and said, but the Prospector no longer mines underground.
Right.
That tells me that there are still new ships coming.
Oh, wait a minute. Did they officially say that?
Yeah, these are things that I've seen posts and stuff on. I'd have to go find them to show you, but just take my word on it.
Yeah,
you can look for yourself if you want. But
so
when I look at that, I thought of a sea tanker. You know when they transport oil across the sea?
Yeah,
that's the first thing I saw.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It's not as wide as the Pioneer. But, the reason I even brought this up, though, was just to suggest to everyone, when, more consolidated outland ships, this is what excites me. Because last CitizenCon, John Cruz said, we keep track of, I think it's over 200 ships. And he said that one of the things is that they keep track of ships that are not available to players that are in Squadron 42 as well. And until we play Squadron 42, I'm really excited to see how many other ships from some of our known manufacturers exist that we just didn't know about, because that may, tell us a little something about it.
How many are going to drop for sale in rapid succession?
Right, right, exactly. Especially if there's
the wallets cried out and then suddenly disappeared. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I've always wondered this, and I think it can only be asked of someone who's been a long time backer like yourself. Do you think all ships in Squadron 42, because of a little bit of the freeform nature of the game, do you think all ships in Squadron 42 have to have an interior, just in case you were to somehow make it aboard?
No, I don't think they do.
Okay.
I think the original plan for the bigger Vandal ships was not to, but then I think as the scope of the game changed and they had more time to do things, they took the time to do the interiors because they had things to do.
Yeah.
and I don't think all the Vandal ships will be, for an example. But also, do you think, like, for example, does that ship there that we just saw need an internal?
Right.
I don't
Right.
think it would. Like, what gameplay functionality would that possibly serve
Right.
to allow you to get on that?
Right. Other than, and I'm not saying this is a good enough reason, but other than just accounting for players' ability to get into something, right?
Well,
But
as
yeah,
soon
I
as
agree.
soon
There's
as you
probably no business for you to be on this ship other than flying over.
so let's play devil's advocate,
Yep.
right? As soon let's say we put a door on this thing that
Yep.
you can go over to and you can open, but as soon as you open the door, right, it opens and you can see the first room, but it's literally just another door like an airlock, crime stack because you broke into it and you're arrested and you've got to restart.
Right.
That is at the minimum what I would do. I would not put a full interior in, but I might just put like an outer door so I can at least get the envisionage of that I can do something wrong with it.
Right. Right. That's a great point. Real
You
quick,
can cheat it, is what I'm saying.
Sure, absolutely. It's just something interesting to think about. It's a good thought experiment. Real
Always.
quick, everyone, I do have to run. I do have to do a little bit of homework tonight, believe it or not, for a class I'm going to be teaching in 2 weeks. So I got to kind of get the curriculum in order. But hopefully everyone enjoyed that. I'll probably do some more talking on the Drake Ironclad later this weekend. So if you're interested in deep diving more of the ship, I might start taking it apart a little bit and pulling pieces off and seeing what we can discover. Other than
if
that,
you're unsure,
yeah,
I think the safe bet is just to pick up 2 CCUs.
I agree.
And hold on to them or meld them into your buyback. Maybe hold on to them after the Q&A.
Yeah.
And just see what comes out with the Q&A, because the Q&A is going to bear the most fruit of anything.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'll just say, a lot, I will definitely prop up CIG a lot for sure. Obviously, I love the game and I approach it from a positive standpoint, but I will 100% be the person that says I hate the way they do these Q&As pretty much when the sale is ending. I think it's a little dirty. It's right for someone to make mistake purchases.
Yeah, exactly. They leave it all that way open to make all those mistakes, and then they do it at the end almost to push, just to push it out the door. Give us some more.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
the Odyssey was 2 days before it went off sale. It was disgusting.
And they could easily solve that by doing something where, like, you do get maybe a 30-day grace period on any, especially maybe any war bond ship purchase to refund it.
Isn't it?
But I don't.
I think it already isn't it?
Do they do that?
Refund.
Oh, okay, maybe there is.
Do,
I could be misspeaking on that, but I have never done it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think it's any cash purchase has a 30-day refund. Thing.
Griff, I see Griff in chat. Griff, thank you so much, buddy. I hope you are enjoying your StarJump challenge coin. Gave Griff a challenge coin for helping me out on some stuff. Execute. I got one for you as well. Just people that supported StarJump in the early years when we had no followers and we were trying to grow what we do.
Oh, really?
Big thanks to.
Sorry, just reading in chat. I wanted to correct myself because you're saying they've changed it to 14 days now. Used to be 30. If they've changed it to 14, that's news to me. I'll have to look that up.
If that's true, that's again.
And then someone else says, and now someone else says 30 days. Yeah, I thought it was 30 days.
What we do when that happens is we go fight.
No, you don't go fight. You just go find out the truth, and then.
Thank you, Arcane.
That's what it's become to now. There's just so much information about this game and so many things that are across the board. Me and Algrid have changed to trying to remember all of it.
So
it's just go for the truth. Go check it out and find the truth.
So I will say too, and I do have to go, but I will say I watched your episode with Expat where she came on to talk to you, and I got to say it was one of the most fascinating episodes ever. So definitely don't feel bad that it diverged a bit from probably your original talking points. It ended up being a really great talking piece. Hearing the perspective she had and your counters to that were just really fascinating. It was one of those ones where I was like, I'll just listen to like 15 minutes of it, and I'll catch the next 15 minutes a couple hours later because I'm always running around. I ended up listening to the whole thing, so it was pretty long.
Yeah. Well, it did. It took over the entire stream. We got 2 questions in.
Yeah.
And then she popped on, and then we just kept talking.
Yeah.
The whole time, because it was interesting.
Yeah.
And it was even interesting for me and Algrid to see someone else's perspective.
But especially in regards to just the information backlog, right? Because there is an information backlog that the CIG has here with this game.
Well, it was as we brought it up in the thing. There are content creators that don't get all the information, and it leads you to these not informed or not entirely correct decisions.
Right.
And then you get these people go, but that was 10 years ago. But it's like, well, then they brought out Death of the Spaceman update, and it hadn't really changed in like 10 years.
Right.
So there is, again, my brain always now goes to, well, if you haven't heard anything, the most latest information is the most current one. And if you haven't heard it about in 10 years, then it likely hasn't changed.
Right. Big shout out to Lazy Donates. Learn how to talk here. Lazy Donuts gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much, Lazy. I appreciate you, bud. Been some great follows tonight. Some great gifted subs. I really appreciate everyone's support as always. So
I don't think his name works though. He doesn't seem very lazy to me. The donut parts, I get that because he's giving away free donuts.
There you go.
Lazy, not so much.
Ken P says that was one of the best casts I've ever seen. Thank you so much, Ken. Really appreciate it. And for those of you that haven't watched Info Runners, I don't know where you've been, go check out Info Runners on YouTube. They have absolutely shit ton of videos that cover every subject you could ever imagine. They've got a really awesome Discord that you should join. They do Fix My Fleets. They do breakdown or buyer's guides and first impressions on ships. They do all kinds of stuff. You do your annual, your annual ship rating episode, which is always a lot of fun to watch. They do lots of stuff over there. Execute, hanging out with me tonight, talking ships is always a lot of fun. Execute, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, you can promote me better than I promote myself. So,
well, again, I say this. I know Griff and some of the Soul Citizens are down there. DG360 was supposed to be at Equinox, but ended up not being there. I was really hoping to meet him as well, just because again, it's these people that helped STARJUMP out when we had no follows. So, just a big deal. I thank you very much, sir. Going to wrap it up for tonight. Again, I'll do more Drake Ironclad stuff probably later this weekend. For those of you interested in more information on it, I'm going to detail out a little bit more of the interior so we can look at a few things a little bit more closely. Again, it just takes a while to build that out. But again, everyone in chat, thanks for hanging out tonight. Again, don't forget the QR code on the screen over here for the Polaris giveaway, giving that out on a big StarJump Station episode I'm planning for June 30th. We'll give away the mighty Polaris Corvette. That's going to be a big one. Sorry, it's actually my biggest giveaway that I've ever done. So that's it.
It's scary giving away a big ship like that.
It is. It's really scary. Usually you would say something like, thank you, CIG, for providing, but this was provided by me. So it's provided by Grim with the help of Starlet. So big shout out to Starlet for making this happen as well. But that's going to be it. We are going to raid. Go ahead.
I was going to say I did miss saying hello to Starlet in chat earlier, but
yes,
I was caught up in the moment. So nice to see you, Starlet.
We are going to raid a new good friend of mine that interviewed me on stage at Equinox. Awesome dude, could not be more humble and sweet and just really kind. Really enjoyed meeting him. We're going to raid Henkin. Awesome dude. Everyone, have a great night. Everyone on YouTube, thank you so much. By the way, real quick, actually, if you did win an Invictus poster from me, I will be processing those early next week, and you'll get them. But that's pretty much it. Everyone, go over to Hinkin's channel, give him a giant StarJump salute, give him a little bit of that StarJump love. If you haven't checked out Info Runners, definitely give Info Runners some love. Execute, thank you for being on with me, and we are out, everyone. Have a great night.